We got one of my favorite content creators for my favorite faction today. Super pumped to talk Skinwalkers. What's up, guys? MtgJedi here. How you doing today? We're talking Skinwalkers. I've got Leila on the channel. Super pumped for you to be on. First time on the channel. How you doing, Leila?
Hey Jedi, thanks for having me.
Hey, yeah, it's so glad to finally get you on the channel. And today we're going to be talking about Skinwalkers and breaking that all down. Super pumped for that. Do you have anything like cool, new going on your channel that we can tell the viewers about here before we get started? Because I'm going to send a bunch of people over to go check out your channel because it's definitely awesome. You do things that no one else in the community does. I got a lot of respect for that.
Hey, thanks so much. Yeah, actually, guys, right before this video, Jedi and I recorded a video for Leo, who's actually right behind me, on my Raid Lore Stories channel. So you guys are going to make sure you check that out. We had a lot of fun. Leo didn't have a story before. Now he does. So that's really exciting. We're going to have that up as well. And I think he said he'll link it here too.
Yeah,
But that's
absolutely.
something I'm really enjoying is you guys know I'm really big into lore, but what I did notice is that a bunch of the champs that had them before, their stories are either completely changed or they don't have them anymore. So it's almost like raids started from scratch with their stories. It's really interesting to
Oh
see.
yeah, that's cool. I bet that'll give you a lot of content. So make sure, guys, you go check out Leila's channel if you haven't seen her. She streams all the time too on Twitch. Go hang out there when you're not hanging out with me. And let's dive into the best faction, Skinwalkers. You want to start us off here with your favorite champion in the faction?
Oh, the best. It's so funny because you guys, off camera right before this, I was telling him how Skinwalkers was my last faction cleared. It was the one I had the most difficulty with. So I guess you could say kind of a love-hate relationship. I love animals, so of course Skinwalkers are cool, but the fact that it took me so darn long to be able to clear this one, it kind of just, I don't know, it has that nostalgia feeling, I think this faction does.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
talking about favorites, oh my God, like there are so many good ones in here. And some of even like the newer ones that have been added in that I love is like Tumisia Regash. Like we have such really cool skinwalkers in here. So we can always start with Tumisia. That's cool. We can go there.
Cool. You know, I
Yeah, absolutely
personally
love
love
it.
her as well because
Hmm.
I picked her for my Hydra clan boss team that I
Yay!
drafted. But what is it about her that you like?
You mean other than the fact that she's Fox?
Yeah.
Of course, but dumps. Everyone's like, of course, because she's a fox.
Uh-huh.
No, I mean, she is amazing. She is in my spider team as well, too. I'll
Mm.
have to say, like, when I got her, I was able to knock down my spider 25 team to like 14 seconds or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
she is just a beast. Literally, she's a beast. I got
Hmm.
really lucky with her during I think it was the guaranteed Raiho event. I ended up pulling her along the way. So I was really excited about that. Just getting two fantastic champs like back to back during that. That yeah, Tumisia is literally she's a monster. I just love her. And you're right, like she's so good in Hydra as well.
Yeah, very underrated for Hydra. I feel like a lot
Mhm.
of people have her on their account and they don't know what to do with her. Well, make
Yeah.
sure you come watch the Hydra draft because you're gonna see that she does some crazy damage. Awesome pick
Mhm.
there. Now, for those
Yeah.
people who are regulars around here, they know my favorite champion is Leorius the Proud. And this is
Yep.
actually who we did our lore story on your channel. So
Mhm.
that was super cool. I really appreciate you including me on that. But
Yeah, thanks for joining me for that.
yeah, absolutely. Leorius was going to be my favorite champion regardless of his kit. It just so
Mhm.
happens that his kit is also ridiculous. But
Right.
I'm a huge Thundercats fan. I grew up with
Mhm.
Lion-O, and so I've always had like a special place in my heart for the Lion characters. And he looks cool. He does a crap load of damage. He's got all of these crazy abilities for Arena. I use him in
Mhm.
some Doom Tower stuff too. I mean, everybody knows, right? Leorius is just ridiculous, but I gotta put a little plug
Yeah.
in because he's definitely my favorite champion.
I mean, I don't have him. I wish I did, but I don't think there's a single person that's going to argue and say that he's not amazing. He
Yeah.
really is. He's like one of the top champs for sure in this faction.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are some other really good champions in this faction that you want to make sure people know about?
So I think let's take a look at some of the rares because I know that we have Ragash who's amazing that does the AoE decrease defense, but I think sometimes people forget Fleshmonger does too. It's
Hmm.
not as good as Ragash, but if you don't have him, you're very very limited in this faction on where you can get this decreased defense from. There you go. So AoE decreased defense, you had 60%. Debuff 2 turns. Again, not as good as Ragash, but not everybody can get him because he's a
Yeah.
Lego. Where
Yeah.
again, Fleshmongers are rare, so he's going to be much easier to get as well too. So I think he gets a little forgotten sometimes if
Yeah.
you really need that help, especially in faction wars.
Just make sure though, if you're gonna use him, his base stats are terrible. So you
I
gotta put
know
like
this is tough.
yeah, you gotta put like all of your good gear
Hmm.
to his HP and defense so that he
Yeah,
can survive it all. A good
yeah.
champion to pair with him though, if you do want to
Mhm.
use him, would be Hoffreys, who's kind of like
Yeah, love it.
the hero of the faction, honestly, right?
Yeah, this one needs Reviver so bad.
Yes.
And Haforis is our Hungry Hungry Hippo for that, for sure. I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Because before him, there was no reviver in the faction, right?
Yeah, we had Rain Beast, but he's conditional. So that's
Right.
why I don't even really consider him a reviver. I think he
Hmm.
has to kill something and then he revives. So you're right, like Haforis was the only one. Now we have Uko, which is great. But for the longest period of time, Haforis was definitely the superstar because again, there just wasn't that. But now we have Uko. We got Pumbaa, Mr. Piggy there.
Yeah, he is such a beast. He's so good in so many areas of the game. He does have that clutch revive, but he can also use it if you don't need revive to place these increased speed buffs.
Right.
And then of course, like removing all their buffs, putting block buffs is amazing for Hydra. And the decrease attack AoE A1, the speed lead. I mean, Mighty Uko,
Got it all.
I first
Yeah.
picked him in this Hydra draft, so
Mhm.
he's good, but he's so
Yes.
customizable to whatever area of the game you want to use him in, too.
Right, again, such a superstar in Hydra, but you're right, like, you see him in Arena, like, you see him in other areas as well too, where he shines. He's such a great champ.
Yeah, yeah. I think I want to mention like a super underrated champion. OG champion here is going to be Steel Skull
Mhm.
because healing is so hard to come by. Um,
Right.
Basically, your options for healing is Steel Skull. He's the best option.
Mhm.
Like, Hackhorn does the cleanse and heal, but in all honesty, like Steel Skull is better than him because he
Right.
has multiple heals. He has the poison on his A1, and if you don't have Steel Skull, you almost have to run two healers like Rain Beast, and I've even run Flesh Terror as a healer, believe it or not. So Steel Skull definitely holding it down in this faction still with the increased
Mhm.
defense and the heal. He has the single target cleanse and heal, and then like I said, the poison on the A1, which can be really clutch in doing some damage on waves and the boss.
Totally agree with that, and, again, talking about, our faction war comps, for example, that mine actually included him. So
Mm-hmm.
my 21 comp was Fane, Steel Skull, Haforis, Ursine Ironhide on the Brown Bear, and then Coronar. That was my team, and that's
Really?
how I was able to clear wars. Yeah, I needed Steel Skull. I felt like there's no way I would have been able to do it without Haforis. That's what I mean is that, like, at the time when I did this, Mighty Uko wasn't a thing. A bunch of these other champs weren't there. Is you felt so limited where you really had to just do what you could do. Like, I don't even think I didn't have Rain Beast. I didn't have him, but luckily I had Haforis. So that really
Yeah.
helped. And Steel Skull, to your point about trying to at least keep the heals in there.
Yeah, for sure. I think Basher's getting a lot of press lately. A bunch of people are trying to use him in live arena. He's especially good if you build him defensively as well. And then we have the new beast Akamtum,
Yes,
who
love it.
he's so crazy. But one of the things you have to be careful, at least for faction wars, is that you have the healing, you have the stability. So oftentimes you really only need one damage dealer. So you can take your
Mhm.
pick of like a Fane or an Akamtum.
Yep.
Um, your Cleopteryx that you get as a login champion. But you don't want too much of those damage dealers because you need that survivability, especially for the 21 boss, because that's the HP swap, the 12 turns
Yeah,
boss, right?
so annoying. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, and that's again, that was one of the reasons that I really struggled in that faction. So something that I did, and I don't know if there's anybody watching that's still trying to climb through faction wars in general, is there's a couple things I did. One is that I made sure I had some really good sets and I kind of rotated them around champs. Like I had a really
right.
good regen set. I had a really
Mm-hmm.
good destroy set. So there were things like I did with that. Now, again, talking to your point about the 21 boss and just being the health swap one,
Mm,
I struggled in there so much. So what I ended up doing actually is I put a destroy set on Fane. And so even though it took a little bit of time, I was still able to clear it
yeah.
at the time. So that actually worked out. For those of you guys that aren't familiar with the destroy set, that's the one that actually takes off the HP, right? It's like
Yeah.
40% or something like that, or something.
Yeah.
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 So then what ended up happening is, even though the boss is health swapping with us, their total health is decreasing over time. So it ends up being less and less of a health swap. So that helped me be able to clear it, because at the time, even though Fane was my damage dealer, again, like I was still struggling to maintain and keep up with that. So I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that helps anybody here. I did the same thing with Night Revenant actually. Is I
Yeah.
think I put a destroy spell faceless, and that helped me as well too. So little things like that. If there's anybody struggling with those bosses, is try to think outside the box sometimes, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
worked for me.
Yeah, love that. Totally love that. And then probably putting your regen set on Hoffrey's over here.
Yep. Make
Yeah.
them fast. So Hafori's and Steel Skull, trying to keep those two the fastest, and
Yeah.
of course having Ursine, Ironhide, and Coronar in there to make sure the decrease attack on the boss was up, the decrease defense, all of that as well too. And then Fane, trying to make sure Fane lived so she could do her
Right.
damage and keep knocking off
Yeah.
HP.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, we've talked about a lot of amazing champions. We're not going to be able to
Mhm.
cover every champion in this video, so the ones that we missed that you really like, make sure you guys let us know about it in the comments below. But moving on to the next topic, are there champions in here who are like a trap that we should try to avoid? That maybe they're not worth the investment, or they seem good, but they're not as good as what they are? You had any advice for these trap champions in this faction?
Oh, that's a tough one. I feel like there definitely are some that can use some help. Like I talked about using Ursine Ironhide, but I feel like the brother really isn't that great. And I know technically
No.
a lot of times, they try to make things synergize together, but
Yeah.
he looks cool. He's got the Wolverine claws going, but
Mm-hmm.
if people are finding success with Ursine Ironhide and they're like, oh, let's build Ice Crusher too, probably not.
Yeah.
Sadly, it's not
I've
gonna be
been
good.
waiting for them to buff the bears for the
Yeah.
longest time. Like some of my favorite champions in the entire game. Other than a sweet troll defense that I made for Christmas one year. Yes, you should avoid Ursine Ice Crusher. He's just not great. I would say right
He's
along
not the
this.
brother.
Go ahead.
I was saying, he's not the brother. The
Right.
other one is the one to work on.
Yeah, yeah. Another one that you definitely want to avoid is going to be Snorting Thug. This guy has such a cool and interesting kit, and I have built him out, okay? He's all about stealing buffs. But man, this guy, it's like having a pillow fight when you're trying to put him in the faction. He just does no
Oh yeah.
damage, and he's not even that good at stealing the buffs. If you build him out, like almost a guarantee you're going to regret him. There's tons of better champions that you can build than him. I mean, even like Gnarlhorn the rare, like he's basically most of the rares would be better to build than him. Anybody else, or you have experience with Snorting Thug?
I tried also with him too, and same thing. I wasn't impressed. But I do like your thought on Gnarlhorn, for example. He was really good. Like I remember using him quite a bit, especially like earlier on
Yeah.
when I didn't have nearly as many. And again, I mean, he's still good. I
Yes.
can still see him being used. You know,
Oh yeah,
he's a
for
good one. Yeah,
sure.
the unkillable buff. Oh yeah, provokes unkillable, decrease defense. Yeah, and he's solid for being a rare too.
Absolutely. Other than that, like all of the other epics kind of serve their own purpose in some places.
Mhm.
Probably not Yaga, but I do have a sweet video with him in Clan Boss. But yeah, it's like, you're not gonna do what I did, but if you want a
Yeah.
fun time, you can watch that video. But even
I'm
like,
even thinking like,
go
go
ahead.
ahead, sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
say like Scabrous was another one that I tried. I wanted to love him. I did. I built him, I tried him, and it was just disappointing. Didn't
So
try it.
like a lot of people who watch my stream know that I hate Scabrius with a passion. He's just disgusting. Like if they would have
He's
just
nasty.
changed his shoulder grossness, I would love him. He would be amazing. But he's
He's
just so
nasty. Yeah.
gross to me. And Twitch chat made me max him out one time for a
Right.
giveaway that I did. And he's actually a good champion. He actually is a good damage dealer. You just wouldn't choose him over Fane. You wouldn't choose him over
Yeah.
Akamtum. Like any other damage dealer, you wouldn't pick him over that. But if you do need damage, he can do good damage, and I do have the video on it if you want to go see me suffer. You can watch
Oh, man.
you can watch that, but he's not as bad. It's just he's not your first choice.
I agree with that. And the reason mine ended up getting bets out is because if you guys watch the raid commercials, we have Death Knight and we have his
Mhm.
trusty beloved friend, Mr. Nibbles. So when
Yeah.
Scabrius came out, everyone's like, oh, that's Mr. Nibbles. And since everybody kind of knows I meme around with the Death Knight champs anyway,
Yeah.
my Twitch channel was like, oh, you have to build a Mr. Nibbles to go with Death Knight. And I'm like, all right, fine. So then I took Scabrius 6, he did his thing, and you're absolutely right. Like he fails in comparison to Fane.
Yeah.
But I did it for the memes, I did it for the people.
Yeah.
The people I know.
Me too.
So at least people had fun with it, like you did. You did it for fun,
Yeah,
We
for sure.
tried. We gave him a chance.
Yeah, for sure. Let's just talk real quick about a couple different legendaries here because I really feel like all of these legendaries have their place. They're all decent and reasonable. And then we'll move on to our personal faction war teams. How do you feel about Norog? Because I want to love him, but I've just been a little underwhelmed.
I feel like I don't have him.
Okay.
The closest I've gotten to him is watching the raid commercials where he's in the gym where he's just being all spicy
Yeah.
and stuff. I mean, he's definitely an OG champ, right? He's been around for quite a long time.
Yeah.
I still think, he might have his place, but I think there's probably other Legos that kind of outshine him at this point.
Yeah, I wanted him to be good in Hydra so much, but his passive just, I really don't think that it ever actually works. I never felt like he actually helped me survive in Hydra, and obviously his A1 doesn't work there. So I feel like if they want him to be playable, they need to buff him a bit, and then he could be really good. We need more good block buffs, champ.
And maybe they will. I mean, we've seen that they're starting to slowly, kind of fix some champs. Like we just saw that they're updating Nogdar, right? Nogdar, and I think one of the other orcs as well.
Yeah, those should be
So,
live, I think.
Yeah, they should be. I think by the time you put this video up, it should be live if it isn't already.
Yeah.
But that, and then there's another orc. So yeah, and it doesn't mean that they won't, because definitely this faction does lack a little bit, even though they are adding in more revivers and decreased defense and stuff like that. But you're right, like there are some champs that could use some help.
They need new epics. Like they've done a good job in the last year or two filling out the legendaries. Like we got Razzlevarg, we got Uko, we got Nishak, Snicktrack, Samson, Cleo, Ragash, Tumija, and Leo. We like doubled the number of Legos, and then we have Akamtum.
Which again, he's great. I mean, I'm not sure what your audience says. My audience loves calling him Lord Beerus. I don't know if we have any anime Dragon Ball Z fans watching.
Lord Beerus!
Yeah, he's Lord Beerus.
That's amazing! You're absolutely
I remember
right.
I did a poll. I was like, okay, guys, what is he? I'm like, is he Mr. Bigglesworth from Austin Powers? Because he's an hairless rat, right? He's a hairless rat. I'm like, is he Lord Beerus or is he just like a rat cat? And everyone's like, Lord Beerus, like all the way. It's hilarious.
Wow,
so that's
awesome.
the joke with us, is he's Beerus.
Yeah. Well, I guess I want to mention real quick, Ragash is the 10x this weekend, and he's really good. He's in also. I feel like I just picked all the Skinwalkers for my Hydra team. I just picked all the Skinwalkers.
What? I mean, if it works, right? If it works.
Yeah. But anyway, Ragash is so super good. And if you need a good decreased defense champion that has good multipliers, he also has a stun on the decreased defense. That's nutty. So definitely try to pick him up, especially if you're pulling shards for the fusion going on right now for Jetney. If you're watching this, in the future, obviously that won't be happening. But if you have him, he's a seriously amazing champion.
feel like, did Ray do a guaranteed for him at one point? I'm
I
trying to remember.
I think I don't remember either. I've lost
I don't
track
know,
of
guys.
that one.
Comment. I have him, and I'm trying to remember if I got him from like a guaranteed or where that happened. For some reason, I feel like there was, but I could be
Yeah.
wrong.
You guys will
I'm
have to
curious.
let us know in the comments since we're being
Yeah.
forgetful.
Yes.
Any other champs you want to talk about here before we move on to our specific teams?
You know what the one I really, really love here too, Brackus is just so cool. He's definitely kind of like an OG. I mean, look at him, guys. Talk about a badass looking champ in this faction.
Yeah.
So cool. Does he have a new story? Can you click his lore really quick?
Yeah.
I haven't checked on him.
Nope.
No. Ah, see what I mean? He used to have a story, and his story was
Oh.
pretty good. So I'm afraid of what they're gonna do now.
Yeah.
I guess I'll
Hopefully it'll be
see.
cool.
I hope so. But yeah, just such a really neat OG kind of champ. On my free-to-play alt account, I want to say he was one of the first Legos I got on there. So I had
Wow.
some, I had a chance to actually have some fun with him. I don't have him on my main account, but I have him on my alt. And really just, he's so fun, especially
Yeah.
with the fears and the true fears. And he's just a really cool champ.
Even with the giant pile of legendaries I have on my main account, I would still love him. He does things that no one else does, like reviving himself. He has
Yep.
the 6 hitter. Like that's the only
It's
champion in the
ridiculous.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say in my alt account, I have him in my clan boss because again, yeah, I mean, he hits like 6 times,
Yeah. Yeah.
try to get the damage in there.
Yeah. Super good. Super good. So do you want to walk us through who your current faction war team is while I'm pulling mine up here?
Yeah, I actually want to say my team has stayed the same from what I had cleared. Though, what I could do, and I haven't gotten to that yet, is switch out Haforis for Uko. I would love to be able to do that, but I just
Okay.
haven't gotten to that point. So my team is still Coronar, Haforis, a Steel Skull, Fane, and the Brown Bear is what I have. So yes, I could easily
Okay.
take a Haforis and put an Uko instead.
So do you have Uko?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Uko
I just
would
got I
probably
just
be
got
really
to
good there.
swap 'em out. Yeah.
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 I would say my Skinwalkers is a little OP. Obviously I have my Leo, who I recently just plus
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I have Ragash, who's smacking.
Mhm.
Tunisia is just in probably some random gear, but after
Yeah.
using her in this Hydra stuff, I think I need to re-gear her. And then Cleo, who's really, really great. Once
Mhm.
you beat level 20, for the first time and 3-star it,
Mhm.
then you can just, put as many damage dealers in as you want to speed clear it. And she's a big part of why my time is quick, because she
Mm.
does really good damage, even though she's a free champion.
That's a really good point. Yeah, like someone like Cleo, I have her in same thing. Like she isn't exactly built out yet. I had other champions I felt were more priority, which is
Yeah.
why some of the like Cleo hasn't really been built out. But yeah, to your point, like I could totally add in Cleo. I could take, somebody else. I'll put Cleo in. And then I could definitely add a Regash. Teomisia, I have to watch with her stats because of how I have her built for Spider as well, too.
Right, right.
Spider's kind of like a fine line.
It
You
is.
want them doing so much damage, but not
Mm-hmm.
too much. So it's kind of like a balance in there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, well, I think that'll do it. We were able to cover most of the topics and talk about most of the champions. Any last thoughts or words coming out to end the video here?
Sure, I mean, this was definitely fun. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out, talking Skinwalkers. Drop us some comments on how some of like your favorite ones are. Maybe, who is the first Skinwalker you got that made like a really big difference on your account? Because again, if you've been playing for a while like we have, it was very selective for a while on what you could get. So I'm always curious. And we always read comments too. So
Yeah,
I'm
for
gonna
sure.
see. I want to hear what you guys gotta say.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, it was a blast. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure you go check out Leila's video with Leo's lore. That was so much fun doing that. And go check out Leila's channel. She does stuff no other content creator does, so make sure you check that out. And let us know all of your thoughts on the Skinwalkers, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Thanks.